Card Junkies.
Welcome to the Card Junkies. My name is Hobbitkrom, and this is... Oh, wait. I forget. He's sick today. But, anyways, my name is Hobbitkrom, and, I'm going to bring you Izzet Land Destruction today, which has been done a couple different times by a couple different people, but, this is my own little budget version I've been toying around with online, and I'm sure I'll invest more into paper and a couple other things like that online too. Eventually, because I want to test it out, I might end up taking this to the GP. It's super not fun to play against, which I really enjoy. But let's go ahead and jump right into the lands. We have 4 highland lakes. They're pretty just janky, cheap lands. They come and play tapped as blue or red, and then straight into the normal things: 10 islands, 10 mountains, because Spire Bluffs and Wandering from Worlds cost a lot of money, and I don't feel like spending it right now on MTG. Maybe on paper one day. But onto our 1-drops, we don't have any because, well, fuck that shit. We're about land destruction because we're fucking the card junkies here. And now on to our 2-drops. We're going to run 3 Baral, Chief of Compliance, 2 censors. It's 3 censors because I probably deserve at least 1 myself. Because I cuss too fucking much. Anyways, after censor, we have 4 curious homunculous and 3 essence scatters. Alright, to go back through what they do, Baral, Chief of Compliance. Whenever you counterspell, you may draw a card, then discard a card. It allows you to loot. But his big reason we're playing him in this is it reduces all instants and sorceries by 1 card list. Censor costs 1. All that sort of stuff. Curious Homunculus is kind of like Baral, just jankier. What he does, it's 1 blue, 1 colorless, and he can tap for colorless mana for that can only be spent on instants and sorceries. When you have 3 or more in the graveyard, he transforms, and then he gives the same thing Baral does. Instants and sorceries cost 1 less to cast, or colorless less to cast at least. Essence Scatter counter creatures because that's typically our weakest thing. Instead of negates, especially after If the Works has been banned. So, not so worried so much about that stuff. More worried about creatures at this point because they can kind of come at us hard when we're not running a lot of creatures in this deck. Next, we're going to move on to our 3-drops. 2 Sweltering Suns, just good board removal. If anything else, you can always cycle it, I guess, if you don't really need it, or it doesn't apply to the deck you're playing against. 3 Enigma Drakes because its ass is big enough to take the Sweltering Suns. And it's also a pretty good finisher overall. It's, power equal to the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard. So it can be pretty big later on in the game. On to our 4-drops, we're going to do, all land destruction. Because I'm an asshole. 3 Crumble to Dust. What it does is exiles target non-basic land. Search that controller's hand, graveyard, and library, exile copies. It's pretty good for all man lands and Aether hubs, just things that we can just avoid dealing with later on. So it's a 4-for-1 at best, or at worst, it's a 1-for-1 still. We have 3 structural distortions, which cycle for 2 colorless mana, destroy artifact or land. Just a little bit more versatile than demolish, realistically, so we're running that. 3, holy crap, why can't I remember this name? Violent Impact. Like my sex life. I'm just joking. Oh, god damn it, Tony, where the fuck are you? Wait. You're supposed to be here to banter with me on this, but apparently you're not, and I'm talking to myself, and it's super awkward. But it destroys target artifact or land, and deals the opponent 2 damage. Since it's dealt to the player directly, it can be redirected to a planeswalker, if you need that 2 ticks off of it or not. Now we're going to our 1 only 4 of the land destruction, volcanic upheaval. Volcanic upheaval just destroy target land for 4 mana, but it's an instant, so it works. So the big thing why it makes it so great is that you can wait to see if you want to counter a creature or blow up a land on that turn. So you can either wait to counter or blow up a land. So you still have 2 options either way you're going to interact on their turn. Next thing we're going to run in our 5-drop slot, 2 Barals Expertice, which is really janky but really cheap but really effective in this deck. What it does is you bounce 3 target artifact or creatures. It's back to their opponent's hand. Not bad. But the real value in it is that you can cast a spell with 4 or less, which is all of our land destruction spells. So balance 3 creatures, blow up a land. Now they're off curve. Now they're kind of fighting to get back on the board state. Just a really good board reset while we're trying to finish it off. Now into our 6 drops. I'm running 2 combustible gearhulks instead of torrentials because of my cheap hobbit, unfortunately. I have not been on adventures of late, so I choose not to spend $20 on a torrential at this point in time. But when I go out of my shire, I will eventually get torrentials because they're just better. They allow you to flashback counter spells. Even volcanic upheavel, when you come bring back in, destroy another land, just be more annoying. Great body. The flash allows more interactive play on your opponent's turn. Bright side of the combustible, it's 6/6 for strike. And it can also act as a finisher after Enigma Trick has gotten a couple pokes in. So it's going to force them to make you draw, so it's good for draw, and it's cheap. Our last card is a 1-of. It's Reduce and Rubble, or Reduce to Rubble, whatever you really want to call it. But can't target spell unless you spend 3 and tap 3 lands. It's pretty good. It's like a mini time walk. Works really well in this deck because you're limiting a mana base, so you don't need something that's so hardcore, just straight counter. Because since you're reducing their mana, they're going to play off curve. They're not going to have excess mana throughout the game, so that's always going to be viable counters. So that's the whole point of this deck, is forcing them to play a turn behind while you're generating your turns forward. Next, I guess we'll start moving on to the sideboard. This is kind of where our deck moves into a transformer. At least that's what we used to call them back at Chaos when I would play with TJ a lot. We'd always joke around with our sideboards and make our deck do something completely different. And in our sideboard, we're going to make a dynovolt tower deck. So we're going to run 4 dynovolt towers, 1 release the gremlin versus artifacts, vehicles, any of that sort of junk. 2 incediary flows because I love dropping mad beats on my opponents. Also exiles creatures, so it helps with just keeping them out of the graveyard, so less recursion. 2 magma sprays for the same reason. 2 glimmer of genius. That way we can draw, create energy, move forward with the dynovolt tower strategy a little bit better. And 2 negates and 1 more essence scatter. The reason why the negates are in the sideboard is in case we're going against a spell heavy deck or another land destruction deck, which are pretty uncommon to find. But overall, the negates are in there just in case we need them more versus planeswalkers or things like that. You know, Marty Vehicles runs a lot of them, which is coming back. But when we're looking at playing green-black tokens or green-black delirium, essence scatter game 1 makes more sense. And if we need to fill out the playset, it's better to have that than the negates. So that's Izzet Land Destruction by Hobbitkrom, because I love Izzet, and I don't know why I love that pun so much. Dad jokes level over 9,000. But I hope you like this deck tech. If you have any questions, feel free to message us on our Facebook, on our comment on our YouTube. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Again, I apologize that Tommy's not here, that we can't be so funny, and all we have are muscles tonight and no banter. But so I just wanted to say thanks for joining, and we will be releasing the giveaway soon. On who won it. We have picked it. We are waiting for our shirts to come in though. So when they arrive, we will announce our winner. And thanks again, guys. My name is Hobbitkrom.
Boom.